and he's muted.
Well, I had to mute my mic so y'all couldn't hear me like throat breathing while the intro was playing. All right.
Nice
So hello
intro.
everybody. Yeah, Steve did that. Hello everybody. As y'all can see, we got an extra person here tonight. So if y'all have questions for him, go ahead and get those written down or whatever. It's Eric from Valley Forged. Y'all may have run across his channel, I'm sure. He has a few lasers. So I'll leave it at that. We're going to get more into his story here in a little bit. Once everybody gets here, I don't want to do it on the very front end because I know it usually takes a while for everybody to show up. So, good day, everybody, especially you over there, Chris. And like I said, I would call everybody out, guys, but it's getting to the point to where it takes like 20 minutes to do that. So, hey to everybody, and appreciate y'all joining us. It's been a long week here at the shack. And from what I hear, it hasn't really been a pleasant week up in Minnesota either.
No.
So,
no, it has not.
So we're going to probably let Eric do a lot of the talking because me and Steve are both about whooped. So we're just going to sit back and probably just throw it Eric's way. And y'all just throw him some good ones. Get him some questions. Try to stump him. Let's see what we can come up with something he can't answer or something tonight.
That's pretty easy.
Well, I mean, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't say happy birthday.
I was hoping we'd forgot about that.
Because I mean, you turned what? You turned 40, you said?
Yeah, 40. That's it.
Yeah, and I'm 15.
No, I'm currently down to 364 days before I have to put a 5 in front of my age. So I just hit 49. Good Lord's blessed me with this many years. I'm just hoping that he sees fit to continue for a little while longer. So, but yeah, 49 years old and a day, I guess, now. My mom came to visit this morning. We hung out with her for a while. I had to get in the shop and finish up on some stuff. It was a fun day. But the last week, man, it has been, y'all see I got all the stove covers over there, cutting boards, and May hit me with a last minute order for her stuff, and I did the invoices a while ago. I had 100 multi-layered, like 2-layered burns that I had to make with engraves, 200 little small cuts, some peripherals to go with those, and then 100 name tags. And it's been busy, between cutting all that stuff. I had the other day, and if it wasn't for some of this stuff being like classified, like G14, May's eyes only type stuff, I would have did a video, but she's like, don't let nobody see those. So, so I didn't get to do a video with them. But I plan on doing a video, at the event and just show y'all what it looks like once we get through. I did take some pictures, but, my 21st birthday. That's one way of looking at it. But other than that, it's been really busy here. And I know Steve has been wading in his basement this week. So how's that coming, Steve?
Yeah, so I actually took some time off this week thinking I was going to get caught up on things. Unfortunately, Mother Nature had other plans for southern Minnesota. And I've been still trying to find actual tallies. But between Thursday night and Saturday morning, we had well over 10 inches of rain here. And this is after already a fairly soggy June. And so the ground is just saturated. And it came in, it wasn't like a nice gentle soaking rain. It was like rounds of heavy, heavy rain. And so unfortunately, the even people with some really nice dual sump pump drainage systems and such, they were struggling here, and we've got other people
there. There it comes. Eric,
other people that were legit drowning. I mean, not drowning, but flooding. Luckily, I had some seepage into the basement. I didn't have inches of standing water, but I couldn't let it build up, and I had to kind of get things moved and such. So it's I've been going nonstop. Matter of fact, I mean, people know my other hobby is model aviation, and we've got a 10-acre field that there's a irrigation ditch, but there's no river, there's no lake near it. It was almost flooding, and so I had to run over there Friday midday, help make sure we had all of our things up a couple feet above the floor and in the various sheds and such, so that stuff didn't get ruined. So I've basically just been on flood watch since Friday morning, and I am beat. Yeah, I haven't gotten the projects done, haven't gotten videos done. I was hoping to work. I've got that Sculpt Fund. I've been teasing a little bit in a couple of posts and such. Was hoping to get that done. Ran into a minor issue I'm working with them on. I think they're going to send me a new part. So just to ensure that, it's working pretty well as is, but I want to make sure that it's working as intended before putting anything out. So I just got delayed after delayed this week with any content and any work. I've been trying to make sure I still get orders out and such and those kind of things, but any of the extra side stuff has kind of taken a back seat. So yeah, I'm tired. I am physically tired. So, but I'm here and I'm glad to not be running a shop vac or schlepping rubber floor mats out of the basement or other things right now. So
cool. Well, I'm guessing because that's one benefit to your extreme height is you didn't have to break out your swimmies or anything this week. So if I was going to send somebody to a flood zone, it would be you because you got several more inches before you actually drown than the average person.
right.
So, but yeah, it's been busy there. But anyway, let's get over to it. Let's see, make sure we ain't got any questions or comments. Nobody's, machines are blowed up currently. They just waiting on some advice or anything. I'm trying to go through the comments here. Yeah, everybody's making fun of me being, well, some of y'all are saying I'm young, which I don't feel young. But yeah, Brandy's gonna keep me honest. But y'all guys remember, she's only like a year and a half behind me, so she can't talk too much smack.
Man, you don't talk about women's age. Come on, you know that.
Well, it's kind of obvious. We've been together since I was 17, so I can get away with a lot more than most folks.
Kind of obvious. Do I need to take your shovel away?
No, I'm talking about you can look back at my pictures and see that we both went to each other's graduation.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right,
yeah. unless I was held back a lot, which didn't happen. So, yeah. But anyway, so guys, if you're not familiar with Eric over at Valley Forged, he is from the far West Coast. So this is kind of, I'm not quite East Coast, but I'm a heck of a lot closer to the East Coast than I am Central California. But Eric does a lot of laser stuff, as you can see by the piles of wood behind him right there. He's kind of like Steve. He's got a wood hoarding problem going on. But but I'm gonna introduce him, and I just want to let him kind of give you guys. I guess, do you have like a quick startup story, or tell everybody how you got started and what your first machine was and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of give you an idea. Eric's channel should be, if I didn't mess up, linked in the description down below. If you want to go check him out, he does a lot of reviews. And he's kind of like Steve and I. We try out different machines that interest us in what we do, and try to show them to you guys and tell you how to use them. Eric says he's not really the technical guy. He's more of the practical, so he gets less into the nuts and bolts than Steve and I do, but he's found ways of taking those machines and making a little money with them, and apparently doing pretty well. Because do you work daily, Eric, or is this your job?
No, this is all I do is lasers.
Cool. All right. Well, give us the rundown.
Yeah. Well, my former partner, was in medical school, right? So we were supposed to go to residency in Sacramento, and I was running a bicycle nonprofit in San Francisco, giving away bikes. It was awesome. Still going on, by the way, called Bike Rescue. And I thought, I'll go to Sacramento and do the same thing. A bunch of money later, nobody needed it. They already had everything they needed there. So I took this laser class, and the lights just went on, right? I don't know about what happened with you guys, like that very first laser, what got you into it. but I took the class. They had two 150 watt CO2 lasers. Pretty much the, typical Chinese kind, bare bones, but 150 watts, right? So um, I took the class and I was like, oh my gosh, a living hinge. You guys, there's just something about the fact that you could use a laser and bend wood that just blew my mind. So I started making, wooden purses that had the living hinge, and it just took off from there. And I was like, whatever this is what I'm doing. So I switched everything over, started helping out other people starting their businesses from using whatever. I'm pretty good at helping people start their businesses with crafts and things like that. And so I got this group together. I was giving free classes at the local makerspace, and everything was going wonderful. Lots of people starting to make money, and then COVID hit. Pretty much the entire city just shut down. We had the BLM thing, we had the COVID, we had everything at once. Right. And this is Sacramento, of course, the capital, and everything shut down. So I kind of had to figure out what to do, because there's no way I wasn't going to do lasers. So I started the channel and started selling the stuff, files on Etsy, basic files and stuff. And now getting back into starting to help people start their own businesses again. And that's kind of my thing. I really want to help people start their businesses, and that's mainly what my channel is going to be about. I do reviews for lasers mostly because I want to be able to tell them what machine they should get or shouldn't get. It's not a review channel, So I'm hoping to expand that. And if people have mostly questions on starting their business from zero to at least being able to do it from home like I do. Yeah. I can work from a shop if I want to, but right now I'm on the Central Coast. I'm in San Luis Obispo. Weather is almost always perfect. Today is one of the exceptions. It's almost 90 here today, but generally it's right here in the 68 to 73 range, which is really nice. And the beach is real close. So if anybody's in the San Luis Obispo area, I'd definitely love to meet up, whatever, talk shop. And as David said, I'm really not the technical guy. I'll leave that to these guys. I, of course, am a big fans, and I watch their channels all the time, trying to learn how to, get these machines they send me to work correctly. Like this is that A70 I got. I really like it. That's my main machine behind me right now. It's what I'm using for everything. I'm making tons of things for business. But I don't want to slow down to try and get it to work exactly correctly because I'm busy making stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm like, hey, help me out. In fact, you probably, that was last week, right? Last week's show. I asked you, I'm like, and you said, hey, maybe you should loosen the belts, which I did, and it helped a ton. I mean, it looks so much better. Still not quite perfect, but
and that's one thing that with lasers, and a lot of people, some people get mad at me, and some people will argue that you're supposed to be able to just take this machine out of the box after it was quickly assembled by random people in some factory somewhere. A lot of people argue that you should be able to just take it out of the box and throw it in there and it perform at its best. And I find that a lot of machines will perform straight out of the box. Very rarely do I come up with, belts need to be tensioned or loosened and adjustments need to be made. But if you're using these machines to make things and make money, my advice is go ahead and at least take the time to run a few tests on it just to confirm. Like you said, I mean, if it's acceptable for what you're doing, then rock on. But most every machine comes in here. I do a little bit of tweaking, but it's not that it wasn't working. It just wasn't working as well as I wanted it to. Because I'll sling that gantry at 200 millimeters a second and make sure that it maintains circles and squares the way it's supposed to. Most people aren't going to be, you're not going to be doing that at 200 millimeters a second. Buddy of mine has the Sculpt Fun S30 over at Milk Money Mini Farm, and he sent me a picture the other day, and his lines weren't matching up. And he's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Check belt tension." And he checked it. He's like, "Feels like it's okay," but turns out one of the concentric nuts had gotten loose. They tightened that up, and bam, it's back going. So there are some times that people need to know. Just like the F1 Ultra when I got it. I mean, I sat down and I went through the calibrations and checked everything, and so it's a process, and you will save yourself a lot of headache if you can learn how to do those things, especially with you reviewing machines, because you get one of those in that, the guy at the factory didn't quite tighten something good enough. It'll drive you nuts. Hey, don't feel bad though. I've had Steve call me a couple of times and go, "What am I doing wrong?" And I've called Steve and been like, "Hey, have you figured this out yet? Because I really don't want to beat myself upside the head with it." So
Yeah,
it's
because
it's a
for every other machine I get, it was the proper tension, right? But that
yeah
particular machine needs to run a little bit looser, and
yeah
if I felt it, and I was like, "Oh, that's too loose." But then we talked about the steel rod, right?
yeah.
The fact that it was flexing a little bit was the telltale sign. So if anybody out there, you know, if you look at that steel rod that's going from one side to the other and it has a little bit of flex to it, then maybe the belts are a little too tight.
Yeah. Well, Dale's got a question here, and Steve, do you have? Well, I had the Falcon. I don't know if it was the Falcon 2, but it says he has a Creality Falcon 2, 22 watt. My problem is the laser light on the module keeps coming on, even though I have cleaned the module, replaced the lens, uh, also, but again, the light comes on. I don't trust those lights. I'll lead with that. Steve might can give you a little more uh, in-depth explanation, but I just don't trust those little sensors where it tells you that your lens is dirty. I don't trust them. So what do you think, Steve?
I've never had the fortune to play around with the Creality laser, so I'm not sure what those what various triggers are on there. But I would agree with you. I mean, this even goes to the fire detection systems and such. Um, they can have so many false positives that can mess things up. That I tend to not trust them, and if I can turn them off because they might mess me up, I often do. Even with the X-Tool fire suppression system, well, that's linked to the fire detection system, and if it's going to have
Yeah.
a false positive, now it's going to set that thing off. I'm like, no thanks. I'll stick to my spray bottles and fire extinguishers and in-person monitoring. So, um, I guess if it's still, yeah, if it's cutting clean, if it's working well, and the light's still coming on, maybe reach out to Creality. But I guess I would run it unless I had any other concerns, any other errors popping up. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure what all would trigger that light on there.
Yeah, the only way that I've figured, because I had the Creality and it had that little light, and sometimes it would be on, sometimes it wasn't. But the only thing that I could figure out, and the only real way that I could come up with that you could even create a sensor for that, it would either have to be some kind of laser that would fire through the lens and then come hit a sensor somewhere, or either just some kind of photo sensor that can tell if there's reflectivity of the laser back up into the housing. And either way, whether because as these lenses wear, they're different. They're going to get a little bit of. Sometimes they put coating on them that will start coming off, and you'll look at it, you'll see that little square, and you're like, "Oh, my lens is bad." When in reality, the lens is still good. It's just the coating's gone off of it. And so I think a lot of times we're getting a little sensor heavy. And just like Steve said, a lot of times I turn those off because I don't depend on those, and I don't want to be at the mercy of a sensor, because they can either, like you said, cause false positives, or they can be a false sense of security. And that's just not something I fool with a whole lot. But if the machine's performing the way it should, and you've visually checked it and the lens is clean, my thing would be to either just ignore it or get yourself a little piece of tape and put over that light. So, I mean, if it's working, it's working. But like I said, it could be something as simple as it needs a firmware update. Maybe that sensor is a little buggy. So you may want to check and see if your machine does have a firmware update. I have had machines that had they in the beginning they had problems with sensors activating when they shouldn't, but they addressed it in a firmware update. But if you haven't gotten that firmware update, you may still have the first release that has the bugs in it. So just base it on your performance of your machine. Like I said, if you've inspected it and put a new lens on there, then just rock with it. So, well, apparently Bill's still having issues with his machine, so he doesn't pay attention to videos real well.
Well, he said he believes he slightly over tightened one of them now. So, and that can happen. I mean, and that's why, as you mentioned earlier, do some tests before you start running your work. Get it dialed in, make some adjustments. Try not to make too many at once, because then you'll wonder which one had the positive or negative effect on it. But yeah, that's where I always advocate on anything. Do your material test, get an extra cup, get an extra whatever, and if it's a one-of-a-kind item, you better be real certain that you can do it or that you can replace it.
Yeah. Mia said, Boston, Massachusetts, I would love to ask a question. Can you tell me how to set up each move step by step forward? Not sure I understand the question, but I mean, we can try. If nothing else, we can probably refer you to a good video. And Dale said it's good evening from West Florida. I'm telling you, Florida's taking over. And I seen somebody say a while ago it's good to have some West Coast folks in here. So I'm assuming they're from out your way, Eric. Oh, STL Woodworking. How are you, sir? True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking there was another. Oh yeah. Jeff was asking in Lightburn, if editing nodes, is there a way to turn them all to smooth at the same time instead of having to do each one individually?
You could select them with
but I don't think. I think it's
square.
still it only does it on the one you're hovering over, even if you select multiple. So I'm not sure they have like a smooth all function.
Yeah, that's true, because I was trying to do that. Now that I think about it, I was trying to do that the other day, and it wouldn't. I had to actually hover over each node.
You can do a little bit of that. Like if you're tracing an image, you can kind of adjust the smoothness and whatnot. But if it's already a vector that you've imported, I'm not sure that there's a way to. I'm not sure you'd want to, because they generally reference the nodes on at either side of it to do the smoothing. It might be a very interesting algorithm for it to smooth them all at once. So yeah, I'm not sure there really is a way to do that.
Well, Steve said that it's not there. It's probably not there. We'll go with that.
Well, there's
so
Lightburn is so powerful. They put so many features in it that it's hard. I mean, I'm still learning things in there every day. So
yeah. Well, there's your one for Eric. Steven's asking, Eric, do you really think it takes a year to get a laser business going?
Yes, and if you watch my channel, it sounds like you do. That's exactly what I think, at least a year. But it's just like anything else. Like, you don't go to just about anything and all of a sudden you're just going to be good at it. The old saying, master the basics, is, and Dave, you just mentioned that a little bit ago about learning your machine. That's going to take a while, getting your settings right, learning how to sell. Where are you going to sell? If you're going to be, are you going to be selling online? You're going to be selling to the public? How long does it take to start selling online? A while, it's how long does it take to sell to the public? Well, where are you going to do it? So there's just so many things. And often I say, you're trying to get good before the Christmas season. So starting right now, it would be kind of difficult to be, really set up for the Christmas season. There's no reason you shouldn't try, and you will probably do pretty well. But to be able to quit your day job and work full-time in lasers, I think it takes at least a year and one Christmas season where you absolutely know exactly what you're doing, what you're going to make, and where you're going to sell it. And so, and can you handle that production? maybe it takes a Christmas season for you to realize, hey, I can't make all this stuff. That's too much.
Yeah, I think the term business is also a bit relative, depending on your situation. Like you said, if you're trying to get to the point to where you don't have to have a day job and you're going to do that full time, it's going to take a lot longer because you're going to have to build customer base. You're going to have to. There's a whole lot more goes into it. Now, like with me, I started out basically doing it as a hobby, as an add-on to my woodworking. I just wanted to be able to, create a cutting board or something, and then add something to it, just to because I felt like, everybody makes cutting boards, but if I can make a cutting board with, a picture, family photo on it, or if I can make a cutting board with a logo on it, that adds something to, to my products. And so, in essence, my business started off pretty quick because my expectations were low. It was all I was trying to do was make a little extra money to buy tools with. It's taken me feasibly now with everything that I do all together. I could do this full time and not have my house repossessed, but it's one of those things that's been, it's been almost 3 years since I started using lasers. 2 years, well, a little over 2 years, but I do it a lot, and I do way more than I should probably because I'm out here every night till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So if your idea of a business is you want to, you're retired and you just want to make extra money to supplement your income, then it's a lot. The threshold to me is a lot lower for that. But if you've got a family that depends on income, then the threshold needs to be a little higher because any business is a risk. And if you can't take that risk, and if you're not willing to, put in the effort and struggle through those hard times, starting any business is a challenge. So it's a matter of your perspective. What do you expect to get out of your business would be my thing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to temper people's expectations because you get people that, I get these all because I run a channel about business a lot. So I get a lot of people who come to me and say, well, I'm going to borrow a bunch of money. I'm going to buy this diode laser. I'm going to buy this IR module. I'm going to buy all this stuff. And then I'm going to pay it back making money from the business. And I need to make money to survive as well. And to me, it's possible, but it's mostly a recipe for disaster.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're jumping in just thinking you're going to make a laser business and you haven't really thought out your product or researched what your local market or the online market is, yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. If you have a plan and you feel you've got a product that's got very little competition in a nice niche, that can greatly accelerate you. But I fully agree with you. It takes a good solid year to really to get things going and kind of have some stability. But even then, what works one year might not work the next year. And so to really learn kind of the cycles of when things are going to be good, when things are going to be bad, how early do you have to start prepping for Christmas season, or graduation season, or whatever your big markets are, that it takes a couple years to really get it to the point, as you mentioned. If you're doing it on the side, you're going to have some quick wins and feel good about it. But if you're trying to, all right, I got to live on this, I would either going to have a lot of money saved up, or you're going to have a job that you can maintain until you really have that stability and long term look back at how it's going to be stable. So yeah, I would agree with that, with the caveat of like Clack said, depends on what your metrics are.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I'm about to be able to retire with 25 years of service, and in Alabama, the program that we have, the day that I retire, no matter what my age, the following month I will get my retirement check, which me and Steve have talked about, and he thinks it's a ripoff, but I think it's a good thing. But I will be able to get a good percentage, and I got a lot of buddies that have recently retired, and there's a couple of $100, sway between. Some of them make less, some of them make more, depending on years of service. So with me, my thing is, I've been trying to ramp my business up and build it up because what I want to do is, all I want is, the retirement will pay, hopefully, my overhead, because as you all know, the less overheads you have, the more profit, or the further your money goes. And so I'm trying to get rid of my overhead right now, so that when I retire, that retirement check will pay. And then the shack is just going to be for, for me to have, insurance, because I got to have that, and just kind of the cool things that I like to have, and also as kind of a safety net in case, maybe that retirement check doesn't go quite as far as I'd hoped. And so I've gotten right now about 2 years worth of data, and I'm not going to lie, I'm still a little nervous that my expectations of what I want to have may not quite meet what I think I'm going to have. You know what I mean? So it takes it's that's a big leap when you start saying, okay, I'm going to depend on this money now, because if you're wrong, it's going to hurt. And I would never suggest anybody go borrow a whole bunch of money and go, neck deep in debt trying to make it back. If you want to spend the money and understand that there's a possibility or a risk that you may not make it back, or it may take you a year to make it back, and that's acceptable to you, then, do it that way. But I wouldn't borrow any money, because if you don't have the whole total plan, kind of like STL says, and STL's got a pretty good little business going over there, but he's still having to hang on to that day job. And I'm the same as you, Eric. I see a lot of these guys, and I don't knock on other channels, because it's not who I want to be. You know what I mean? But I see a lot of these, videos of how to make 10,000 in a month. There's a lot more to it than that. You know what I mean? It's not that simple. Have I had months where I made $10,000 with everything together? Yeah, but you also going in the house at midnight, getting back out in the shop at 6 in the morning, trying to crank out jobs to get done. And so I'm like you. I don't ever want to portray to anybody that you could just snap your fingers and do this, because I have had my shares of failures. I have had my shares of, of good days as well as bad. So yeah, and I agree with you. Like I said, I watched your videos, and I will say that you have an honest outlook on it. And because the last thing you want to do is mislead somebody into losing their life savings because they went and bought a bunch of lasers or something, thinking that, they're going to make a killing with it. So hats off.
Yeah. We want everybody to get into
honest.
lasers. Lasers are awesome. That's one of the best things. I mean, it's changed my life, and I absolutely love every single day doing what I do. But I leave myself the ability to make mistakes, right? So I didn't rush. I think making mistakes is one of the most important things. And you have to make mistakes in every single thing you do, not just making things, but going to the wrong show, trying to sell the wrong thing. Stove covers. You make stove covers. Those things are not small.
Oh. I hate those stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm burnt out on them.
But if you make earrings, they're this big, and you can sell them for $30, right? And so now you could take your car to the show, and you have $20,000 worth of stuff in your car. So whatever you decide to get into as your business, you need to be able to make enough mistakes to go, oh, I'm not doing stove covers. I don't have a van big enough to make $10,000.
Yeah.
So just things like that.
Well, Michael's got a question about what computer would be good for running 4 lasers. And basically, if it's good enough to do spreadsheets and PowerPoints on, running lasers is not very intensive. But if you're going to be designing and editing videos and stuff like that, then you're going to have to step it up. But of course, Steve is our resident IT nerd, so we'll pass that question over to him.
Well, yeah, you're right. It kind of depends on the ancillary software you're also going to be running. That can definitely put more of the drain on it. I mean, I've run Lightburn on machines going back as far as Windows 7, and if you're just running Lightburn, it doesn't take a whole lot. It's pretty happy about it. But if you mix it in with running XCS, maybe running other applications like graphics manipulation, be it Creative Cloud or others, those are going to start adding in more taxing on your computer. But Lightburn itself and most general, just like whether they're CNC control or laser control software, they don't have real high memory usage or CPU usage. So, even find a refurbished computer, maybe a mid-grade something. I try to stay away from the extremes at any time because you're either going to underperform or you're going to overspend.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of, yeah, like I say, just go, if you're just expecting to run 4 lasers from it, you got a different computer. You know, pretty much a budget middle of the road computer is going to work fine for you.
Yeah. Yeah, from my experience, like I said, if it'll run PowerPoint and play videos, it's gonna work. Now Chromebooks, not so much. You have to have a Windows machine.
Careful, we've gone down the Chromebook path before.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's it doesn't take a whole lot of computer, but also, you know, you got to keep your how tolerant are you of maybe slight delays in your computer working or opening up a fourth you know, instance of Lightburn.
all right.
Sometimes it's that.
So DJS is asking, and I'm guessing it's because of your trademark, but is asking about the glasses, and I will throw this out there, guys, and this is a little peek into making videos, and I don't know exactly what the reasoning is, but with YouTube and with videos and stuff like that, brand recognition, people being able to recognize who you are in videos is really important, because that a lot of times can trigger people to click stuff. And just like with my orange shirts and the black and white text and black and white logo and stuff like that. But there may be another reason. But I know everybody knows the guy with the glasses. So at this point, I don't think he has a choice. He has to keep wearing them. But what was is that your reasoning? What is your reasoning for it?
Yeah, that's pretty much the reason. I got the one of my first lasers that I got was the Ortur Laser Master 3. And if you've seen my reviews of it, it was a disaster. But it came with these glasses. It doesn't anymore, but it did. And I really like the way they look. So I wear them outside sometimes. But I had a viewer that said, yeah, I like watching your channel, and so does my wife. She's like, oh, that guy with the glasses is really cute. There's no better way than flattery to get you to do something all the time, right?
That's right. Well, and if you wear them all the time too, you don't have to worry about accidental exposure, I guess. I used to wear mine a lot more than what I do now. And if I've got a machine running in the shop that's not enclosed, I'll wear mine also. But everything I've got right now, other than like testers and stuff, you know, it's contained, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I just had I had an eye exam this past week, and other than just getting older, I've been using lasers for I can't remember how many years now, 8+ years now. I keep asking them, I'm like, what should I look out for if I'm, you know, I wear the glasses when I need to. Most of them have enclosures or whatnot. You know, is there anything to be concerned about? And they said, no, you know, they said everything is looking healthy, and, you know, your retinas are still attached. There's no burn marks. There's no, you know, so yeah, wear the glasses when you need to. But, you know, if you've got a good enclosure, I mean, that has the appropriate glass on it, if it's translucent, transparent, I feel safe in the ones I've been using. So
yeah, I was gonna mention I wouldn't actually recommend these glasses because I know you have a video there, Steve, on the right kind of glasses to get, and so I would advise people to go there.
Yeah, I definitely, as Clack's showing his version, here's my version.
These are actually the same make.
Yeah, they're free mascot, and to Jim's question on here, you're really looking at that nanometer wavelength, and these cover both the blue diode. It's actually a pretty wide span. It's 190 to 550 nanometer, as well as 800 to 1100 nanometer. So for the F1 Ultra, this is a set that will cover both this and diodes. And at least for my eyeglasses, these are a little more square, a little bit deeper, and they do fit over pretty well. So now if I could get a pair of these with prescription lenses in it, that would be awesome. But I'm afraid of what it would even cost. So
yeah, well, see, these are exactly the same lenses, because as you was calling that out, I was reading these, and these are rated exactly the same. These are just different because they're not made to go over prescriptions.
Right.
But I wear these now. Of course, I have these that I used to wear, and I had these that I used to wear for fibers. These are rated for fibers. These are rated for blues, and these are rated for both. So I wear these now, so I don't have to worry about, grabbing the wrong pair of glasses and then looking down at it and be like, oh my gosh, seeing spots.
Now,
So,
see
but they're
that
all free mascot. If you go to mine or Steve's Amazon page, I know we both have links on our pages to the glasses that we wear.
now an interesting thing is, and this is something that I on almost every review they send the glasses, and I say, hey, if you got nothing else, these are great, but you always want to look for something that has that on them. Now, the sculpt front laser I got, they sent these yellow tinted ones. And interestingly enough, I don't know if I can get that to show up on there, but yeah, I don't know that's going to show through. Maybe there. It's got a little scribe on there, and it says 200 to 460 nanometer OD4 plus.
Huh.
So, whether I should be wearing these or not, I don't know if I can get these on with my headphones, but there.
Hey, watch out now, Eric. Be trying to get them from you.
Yeah, he's gonna
He's adding to his wardrobe.
Trademark infringement here, but
I think in the Marines we have a saying for that, right? BCDs. That's what those are.
yeah, BCDs. Yeah. No, that was yeah, but those are some durable glasses.
Yeah.
So,
hey, it's a cool color.
So yeah, interesting. I mean, like I say, I've been calling them out on that now. I mean, it is just etched on there, but
I mean,
it's better than not being etched on there. But I mean, I would hope they would actually work fairly well. But
yeah,
again, I prefer these free mascot ones. I've taken them with me. I don't think I've ever had to wear them in your shop. Maybe the first year, but if I'm going somewhere, I bring these with. So
yeah. Somebody asked me this the other day, and I was not in the shop, so let me pull it up. But I have been running as many of my machines as I can. Well, I don't even have the machine installed right now. Typically speaking, the all of the machines that you're going to be running. Let's see here. Device settings. Yeah, 115,200 is what I'm running on my Atom Stacks right now, and it seems to work really well. So 115, 200, because the Acer controller is very similar to the Atom Stack controllers, and I think that's what I had it set to. Yeah, very similar because it's almost the same. But that's what I've been running on the Atom Stacks. So set it to 115, 200 and try that out. But unless Steve's got his Acer still connected.
Well, the thing I was going to say is if you go into see what COM port it comes up on in Device Manager, assuming you're using Windows, check your baud rate there and check it in Lightburn. The important thing is that they match. I tend to run most of them at 115,000 as well. But yeah, so speaking of Acer, I'm repurposing my 20 watt, and so I took it apart. And funny little thing here. Here's one of the limit switches on there, and I don't know if it'll focus on that, but it actually says Atom Stack Z limit V2.0 on there. And I think there was another part. I don't remember if it's a stepper motor or not, but I mean they are they're very blatantly using parts from Atom Stack. Not even relabeling them. So
yeah. But yeah, 115.2 is what I've started running. As long as you don't have any problems with it, that's what I recommend. Some of the machines are even faster than that. I know the new controllers for the MK2, the Rolly, I think the baud rate on them are a little faster. I didn't look before I closed Lightburn, but I think it's all the way up to like 250,000. But the faster the baud rate, as long as your connection can handle it, the better, because you have less of chance of packets and stuff getting destroyed in the process of being moved. Jeremy Jordan Double J Patriotic Design is asking, speaking of glasses, is there any danger for IR lasers? But yeah, I mean, any concentrated beam of light is not something you want going into your eye. So yes, I would definitely wear glasses regardless of the laser, unless it's fully enclosed and you feel comfortable that you're not going to have any accidents. But it's never a bad idea to wear glasses. So,
yeah, I mean, I think people because your eyes can't see infrared, and we're normally exposed to it, but you kind of hit it there with, because it's concentrated and it's high levels of radiation with that. So yeah, you can definitely cause retinal damage and such. You definitely want to not stare at it. You don't want to have any flash back off of it. It can cause damage, and unfortunately, by the time the damage happens, is you're not going to be. I mean, you can't blink fast enough. It's going to happen. So, yeah, it's definitely good. And the nice thing there is a lot of those are actually clear. So they do a better job at protecting your eyes without making you feel like you're a little trippy looking out the windows when it's a sunny day. So
Yeah, these are actually just our glasses.
mm-hmm.
I think these are Cloud Rays, if I'm not mistaken. They look a lot like Free Mascots. I know what you're thinking. They're probably made in the same factory, but when I ordered them, they were sold as Cloud Rays.
Sure.
My CO2 glasses are just hideous. I'm not showing you guys them.
Gonna jump back a little ways because we missed this one from Mark, but he's asking, when doing cutting boards, are you engraving the cutting side or the back side of the board? What are your thoughts?
It depends. It depends on what the customer wants, really. I tell people all the time, if they order something from me, I ask them, is this a decorative piece or is this actually a functional piece? And if they say it's just decorative, then first of all, I'm going to treat it differently because I'm going to go ahead and put some clear coat stuff on it and all that. But now I do, if I make a decorative piece, I do on the back of it have my little warning label that basically says this piece is not intended to be used with food, is decorative only, and I engrave it on it. That way, if somebody does, gift it to someone else or whatever, and they use it as a cutting board, hey, read the warning label. But if it's a cutting board that is going to be both decorative and functional, then I guess is there really a back or a front to a cutting board unless you put feet on it or something?
Yeah, I was just say it kind of depends on the board itself, because some of them will have a different surface on one side. Sometimes they've got the juice groove on one and not on the other, or like you say, feet. Yeah, I don't recommend if using a board that has like a big engraving over the whole surface. If people say they want to use it, I might say, well, let's just put one in the lower corner. Your risk is really kind of you're going to get some of the juices in there, and they can go putrid, and then it's a health hazard and such. But yeah, you give them that warning, like, hey, I don't recommend it. And people are going to do what they want to do. But I find a lot of times is that people will get the decorative board to hang in there, and then they'll ask, like, yeah, can you just stick it on the other side? So,
well, a lot of people tell me too, it's going to be both, but I'm going to use this side when it's hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
So that people can see it. But then when I take it down to use it, I'm going to cut on the back side so that when I put it on the wall, that part's hidden. And I'm okay with that because, like you said, you don't want, if you're going to be chopping stuff up on it, first of all, you're going to destroy the engraving. And like you said, you're going to have a more of a recess for little bits of food and stuff to get stuck in there. So I don't recommend using the actual engraved area for food processing. But like you said, if it's a charcuterie board or a cheese board or cutting board or something, and you're not directly on top of the engrave, but I have several different like food safe products that I can use. One of them actually contains beeswax, and if you put beeswax on there, it'll fill in those little voids, and it keeps stuff from getting down in those holes and getting stuck, because beeswax also has like naturally occurring enzymes that keep bacteria from growing. So that's kind of cool.
Sounds like Papa's going to be coming through my area tomorrow, and so hopefully, well, if you're on your way to Mayo, I hope it's
bring some waiters. Bring some waiters with you.
Yeah. Don't go too slow over the river. I think it's still cresting tomorrow, so it's rather wet here. But yeah, I'll unfortunately be at work most of the day, but I'll try to wave back. So anyway,
oh, there's one for Eric. I think I know the answer because I watch way too many of his videos.
Well, would you guess the Lord's Prayer cross? That's probably, I would not make that thing if everybody didn't buy it. You know what I mean? Because it's one of the bigger projects. It takes longer to make. So I try and stay away from things like that. But if every time you make one, you can't even hold on to it. So I sell the file. Actually, I made a stand and all that. I have a pack that's called the best sellers pack. So all of the things I sell that sell the best, I put all into one pack on Etsy for pretty cheap, and they're all ready for light burn. They're ready to go. Just need your settings. Always surprises me that people uh, email me and they're like, "Hey, what are my settings?" Settings are on you. You got to learn your own settings. Everything else, it's ready to go. It's in layers. It's ready. It works in XCS. It has SVG for XCS and Glowforge, whatnot. But it's a whole pack of like keychains, coasters, bottle openers, Lord's Prayer Cross, greeting cards, flowers, all of the things that you would sell throughout the year. And all of them, I sell tons of all of them. So if you were to have all of those things, there's no guarantees in life, but I'd be very surprised if you didn't do pretty well. And they also offer the opportunity to sell to, larger sales, like people's graduation gifts, right? You get order for 300 or 400 of them, right? Bottle openers, these 7-inch bottle openers. I have had so many companies ask me to customize those bottle openers for their, bar, wine bar, restaurant, brewery, you name it. So, but yeah, I guess the bottom line is I think that Lord's Prayer Cross is probably the easiest thing to sell. And if you can actually get a show that's at a church, oh my goodness. Every single year, I think I make enough, and they're always gone the first day.
XYZ is asking, do you guys still use the Elegoo Ficta, and how's it holding up? Me personally, mine's not in my shop. My niece has it. She wanted to get into laser engraving, and it was a decent machine. The only two complaints with that Ficta is the little filter system on it is a bit gimmicky. Other than that, it works pretty well. I didn't have any other major complaints. But that little filter thing is just I mean, it was not as effective as I think it should be, which none of these filtration systems are the answer. Venting is the best way to go, but she's running it inside an enclosure, and she seems to like it, and it's still doing a good job. So that's where I'm at on it. So, do both of y'all have one of those, or
So I'm just curious. How do you actually say that?
Victa? I don't know. Victa? Victa? Hey, I'm pronouncing it redneckanese. That's
No,
all
I know. I mean, I mean, it's an interesting name. Mine is actually with a friend of mine's. He wanted to do some lasering, and I said, well, here's a good one to use. He's still using it quite a bit. I would agree with you. I mean, that filter is not. I mean, first off, you can't get all of the smoke to run through it, and it's just not big enough to last. I wish they would have removed that and added limit switches. That seems to be what most people add to those. But it's a decent laser. Even the air pump on it seemed to work pretty well. It was well matched to it. And
decent honeycomb.
Yeah, decent honeycomb and such. It performed pretty well, and my friend's still enjoying it. So he hasn't sent it back yet. So, but yeah, no, it's not a use in my shop, but it's one thing I do is just kind of helps my friends have fun with this stuff as well.
Yeah. Mark's asking is adding at most a tablespoon of bleach to a CO2 chiller a bad idea to prevent any algae buildup? I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm assuming the whole system was probably made out of aluminum, which the bleach wouldn't hurt. But I do know that if there's any like steel in there, bleach and steel aren't necessarily a good mix when you add water.
Yeah, no, I don't. There's I don't believe there should be any steel in the tube itself. And yes, actually, I have done that to not only prevent but clear up some algae that got into a system when I didn't quite realize my system wasn't as closed loop as I thought it was. So it a little bit goes a long way. and it does do a very impressive job. I added, just like you say, maybe a teaspoonful into my reservoir, let it circle overnight, and it was very surprising how much it cleared up. And then I was able to drain the whole system and get fresh water and everything in there. But you can also use algicide that you get at like the fish store and such. And another thing is to add just a little bit of dish soap. Helps release the surface tension if you're having trouble with bubbles in your tube. Not a whole lot, just a little bit, but yeah.
Cool. Dennis is saying that he likes your reviews, Eric, almost as good as Clack's. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you there, Dennis.
I gotta say, I know I'm in the right place. You guys got the better fans. You know, I've seen other live streams, seen other channels. You have everybody in the chat is super cool, super nice. You know, that's another reason lasers are so amazing, right? The other people that use them are pretty cool. So
yeah,
I do appreciate it.
Well, Brian, don't let Brian get on you because he'll give you a hard time. He stays on me a lot. But we try to have fun with it. Good evening to you there, 3DHP. He says he's following your shop there, Eric. And yeah, somebody is asking about the machine over my shoulder. And yes, this is the LP4.
Come on.
And for those keeping track, Steve has the L3P. So technically,
I have the what?
Don't you have the 3?
No.
2? Which one you got?
I have the Laser Pecker 2.
Okay, so he has the LP2. So yeah, mine's the LP4.
Yeah, yours is mine's just, it was what, a 5-watt blue diode, I believe. Yours is more equivalent to the original F1, which is the 10-watt blue diode, and 2-watt IR.
And that's what I'm curious about, to see. I figure it's probably going to be pretty close. The only difference is I don't think this guy works with Lightburn. I haven't really dove into it yet.
No.
I think it's either going to be app controlled pretty much all the way. So I think it's going to be a whole bunch of SVGs. But they had asked me before about trying out some other machines, and I really wasn't into the smaller machines. But then when I got to playing around with the F1, the longer Nano, and the Com Marker Q1, and some of the other machines, I was like, you know what? These things have a place in the laser engraving realm, especially with portable setups and going to events and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll try out a couple more of them. So I'll let you know. That's as far as I've made it with this one so far. He's still in the box.
I think you're wrong though. The 1 and the 2, maybe the 3 weren't. I think had used the app, but I believe the 4 and they're advertising it. It's both the app and the Lightburn. So
you
should be able to do more head to head with it that way.
Oh.
Yeah, and their app is actually pretty good, both on their desktop and the mobile. That's almost identical. Far better than most of the other apps I've used. But the fact that you can use Lightburn, that's really cool.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't really done my research. They sent me an email, and you know how it is. Hey, we want to send you a machine. Would you be willing to try it out? And I'm like, sure. And then, crickets. And then all of a sudden, FedEx shows up and drops a package in my yard, and I'm like, what is this? And open it up, and it's that. So I haven't really done my homework on it yet. That's why it's still in the box, because I've got to make sure I know what I'm getting into before I get it out of the box, but I don't tear it up before I even use it.
We'll get that laser pecker out and start using it.
Well, I'm having to practice. My juvenile side comes out when I say the name of it. So I'm just calling it the LP. I mean, because I'm a 15-year-old boy at heart. So I have to be careful with stuff like that.
It's just a light-powered woodpecker. I don't know what your problem is.
Let me walk outside for a second. I'll be right back. Y'all killing me. I gotta get some more drink. I'll be right back.
Well, North Alabama Barbecue. Yeah, I've been hearing about the space shuttle. It's not an actual. It wasn't an actual shuttle, but I think it was a mock-up or a test unit or simulator or something. But yeah, it's a couple. Well, about 2.5 hours north of me. It's cool that they were moving that through the state, and I'll actually be up in that area. I'll just see if they have it on display when I'm there. But yeah, not something you see too often being trucked down the road. So, um, let's see what else here. A lot of talk about your crosses. Sorry, I'm just trying to get caught up on chat here. We got Cody in here as well. Cody, I got to apologize. I was hoping to do some tests with your bits that we showed last week, but Mother Nature had other plans for me this week. But I do have some aluminum and some acrylic. I'm going to be using that O-flute, that new Jenny bit of his on the CNC. I'm looking forward to playing around with that because most hobby grade CNCs for non-ferrous metal, they can work with it. And what did you do? Did you break in stuff again?
I did what y'all said couldn't be done.
Oh, you broke a Jenny bit. But yeah, most of the hobby grade ones are capable of working with non-ferrous metals and acrylics, but you got to use the right bit. And usually that's a 1-flute, and often helps to have air assist as well. And it's similar to the lasers where you're blasting it with some air down in the cutting area just to help clear the chips as well. But looking forward to that, and glad to see you here again this evening.
Yeah, but now, Steve, I don't want to do Cody any injustice there. I'm gonna let you know what happened. I promised myself I wasn't gonna tell you this, but I had some people over here. I was working on a CNC project, and they were wanting to watch. So they're like all around my CNC, wanting to watch it run. And I turned it on, and as I'm going around to turn on the spindle control box, apparently the lady distracted me, because she was standing right there. And somehow or another, the switch didn't get flipped. So when I hit the engrave button, the CNC did what it was supposed to, but the spindle was still asleep at the wheel. And just so you know, the Shapeco will snap an 1/8 inch piece of carbide like glass. if that bit is not spinning when it goes into that material, snap it right off.
Yep.
So luckily I had the little mini Jenny on standby. So I put it in there, made sure I had the spindle turned on, and was able to finish the job. And I think I left it outside. Yeah, it's outside drying. Hang on, I'll shake.
So I realized I'm missing a bit from the line, and that's the 30-degree V bit. So I need to place an order and get one of those coming as well. But while we're waiting for Clack, we got another question for you, Eric. Verl's asking, noticing quite a pile of wood behind you. What do you like to use? So what is your material of choice or materials?
Yeah. Well, I get all my stuff from Craft Closet, and they have a lot of acrylics actually up here that you can use on a diode laser. I actually have a couple of videos on it. They have a 2-tone acrylic, which is really cool for making keychains and stuff. And then, regular different kinds of acrylic. As long as it's not transparent, you've got a reasonably good chance of it working. But I go through each one that I have. I'm going to probably do another one here pretty soon. It's a very popular video. Just being able to use acrylic on a diode laser, and what works, what doesn't work. I'd like to hear, after I answer this, from you guys, have you ever found some transparent acrylic that will work on a diode laser? I have not. But as far as the wood wood thing goes, it depends on what kind of laser you've got. I mean, if you've got a 10-watt laser, you're probably not going to be doing a lot of 1/4 inch. It's just very difficult to do a lot of it. Maybe you could do it once in a while, but I got that 70-watt back there now, and it has actually changed what I make. I'm making a lot of trophies and things with 3/4 inch, hardwoods now. It's changed what I've made, what I can make, and it's fun. To be able to change it up, try new things, make things you never made before, so you don't get bored making stove covers all day. And so I really like MDF hardwoods though, walnut, cherry, things like that.
So that's you those are like an MDF core, and then you got the veneers on both sides. And you get that from what's the place called again?
Craft Closet. And if you go to most of my videos, they're going to be you get some discount or something. But it's worked out pretty well for me, and I like working with hardwoods a lot. And you guys, I know, hey, you have a mill or something, so you can make yourself some hardwoods. But for me, I got to buy it, right? And
Yeah. Speaking of which,
it's
Steve,
really nice to work with hardwoods.
recognize that piece of wood, Steve?
No, it's been mutilated.
You actually helped cut it. This is some of the
Yeah.
wood that when Steve was down here, we milled up some oak, and this is a CNC project I was working on. Now, keep in mind, this is an engrave right here. You want to see an engrave? This is a USB drive, right? Look at that. It's like so. I set this one to I think 4 millimeter deep. But yeah, this is oak, and it's on its second coat of polyacrylic so far. I want to just keep spraying it because this is going to be an outdoor sign. And but yeah, did that with the Jenny bit, and I had to use the mini Jenny because I snapped my what is it, Slim Jenny I think it's called. Yeah, I snapped it, so I had to put the mini Jenny in there, but did a good job. Relatively, like I didn't even have to do a whole lot, which like I said, this is kind of a rustic look, but used Aura mask, run the engrave, painted it black, let it dry, another layer of black, let it dry, and now I've done 2 layers of acrylic over the top of it. So we'll have that thing going before you know it.
Dennis is asking, saw water chiller on Banggood website for $125. Isn't that pretty cheap?
It's probably not a refrigerator chiller, it's a fan.
Well, yeah. So if it's like an industrial chiller that's meant for these, and it's that cheap, it's very likely that it's just a radiator, not a true chiller. It doesn't have refrigerant in it. Or one thing that I did early on because I was being cheap was you can get an aquarium chiller, which you still have to have a reservoir, you still have to have a separate pump, but you can actually run your system through that to cool down the water, run it through the tube back into your reservoir with the pump and such. Those tend to be a little bit cheaper as well. So the critical thing there is to do your research on it and make sure it truly is a chiller, because otherwise it's just a radiator and it's only going to bring your water down to ambient temperature. And if you're in central Alabama in the middle of summer, ambient temperature could be 80, 90, 100 degrees.
It's 80 in here right now. So my poor little mini split just struggles with this big 16-foot roll up door over here, but
yeah,
it's better than outside. It's 95 out. Echo, what's the temperature outside?
Right now, it's 89 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
Tonight,
and it's getting dark
expect
right
a
now,
low
by
of
the way.
75 degrees. Either way, I have a reorder suggestion for you. Would you like to hear it?
No.
Yes.
God. Now I will say Echo's pretty good about getting like my handles for my stove covers and stuff like that. He's pretty spot on with that now. He's figured out how often I order those, and he'll remind me.
Yeah.
I had speaking of chillers, I had that Monport, which they called it a chiller, but there again, it was a water pump with a radiator on it, and it done okay as long as it was in a climate controlled environment. But if you're like Steve said, if it's really hot or really cold where you are, which I guess if it's really cold, it wouldn't matter. But if it's real hot where you are, it's not going to do too good.
You know, there's a few things you got to consider. Is that the dew point as well. With the liquid filled glass tubes, if the difference in your ambient air versus how you're chilling the tube is too great, and maybe it's too close to the dew point, you're gonna that thing is gonna dew up. It's gonna have a risk of now conducting electricity, and it's a good way to really ruin your machine. So it's nice that you have the chiller because you can run it in maybe a little more extremes, but you also have to kind of keep in mind that the environment it's in as well is going to have an effect on that tube. So, yeah.
Jim's asking thoughts on the F1 Ultra so far. I was hoping something he could bring to shows. So where you at on the Ultra right now, Steve?
You just like pushing that button. I'm still in the doghouse. I'm still in the
If y'all
doghouse.
missed
with the
it,
F1
Steve
Ultra.
still hasn't got his Ultra. But we're working on that. I'm going to be honest with you, Jim. If you're wanting to take it to shows and you're doing small stuff that normally you would do at shows, I have two things. It is, I mean, you see it sitting over there, right? Right next to the F1, which is over here. It's smaller than say the X40 or the A70 as far as footprint, but it's still it's not no lightweight. I mean, it's probably a good 25-30 pounds or so. It's kind of big as far as the footprint. You're looking at maybe a 12 by 12 footprint, and you got to have like the shield will actually hit that shelf right there if I raise it up. So I mean, it's not terrible. But my problem that I have is I don't know that I would want to be lugging around a $4,000 piece of equipment that if I dropped it, it could be destroyed. That would concern me. I'm not saying you couldn't take it to shows, but I will tell you that the power brick on that guy is bigger than the power brick on any of these diodes that's in the shop. So that tells me that it pulls a fair amount of electricity, which it should. It's got a 20-watt fiber IR module in there too. So could it be done? Yes. I would strongly recommend you get yourself a Pelican case or something to put it in and be real gentle with it, because there are calibrations that have to be done to the machine that even in the software, it'll tell you that if you transport it for, periods, they recommend running through the calibrations. In my mind, this is going to be, a machine for here. So far, I am pleased with the results I'm getting out of the 20-watt fiber as compared to the 20-watt fiber that I have. It's doing the same stuff that one will do. So it's not like they're calling it a 20-watt fiber, but it won't do 20-watt fiber stuff. It's doing a pretty good job. The resolution on it, the speed, it's performing pretty well. If like I said in my video, if what you want is something with that small of a footprint that can do blue and fiber, it's pretty nice. The camera is very accurate once you calibrate everything. I'm gonna say probably even more accurate than the P2's close view. I'm gonna be honest with you. Once you calibrate it, I mean it's pretty spot on. So if cameras, and lining materials up is your thing, then that's good. Now I will say this, and I've watched a lot of videos to see what other people say. The whole automatically locating your items and putting the text on them, use that with a grain of salt. I would not, if you're OCD like me, I would not recommend using that with a bunch of items that are, randomly positioned, because I did a couple of tests using little pieces that were coming out of the things that I was making for May, and I grabbed a handful of them and put them in there. And I'm going to say 60% of the little pieces had an acceptable engrave. The other 40%, it either chopped off the text, missed it completely, and there may be some more calibration I need to do. That's why I haven't done a video on it yet. But as with anything, it realistically, I don't know that I would use that on blanks, because it seems like there would be a lot of waste. Because I'm OCD. Now, if you don't care about your thing, whatever it is you're doing, if you don't have to have it perfectly in the center, then it might work for you. But that's just me, like I said. But I'll give you a little more in depth as soon as I can. I have just been so busy doing those stove covers, those cutting boards, and all that stuff that's in the house going to be delivered with Brandy tomorrow. I have been working on that, and I have not had a chance to really get down and put video together on it. I've been testing it. I just had it kind of sitting over there running on its own, and it does a pretty good job. And y'all see, I made Steve a honeycomb square so I could take a sticker off. And I did that with the IR module. And something that I have found that's really cool is, even though wood is kind of a no-go with the IR, man, it made short work out of that logo once I spray painted it white, because it burned the white paint and turned it black and made a nice looking logo on there. So just playing around, trying to figure out some project ideas for it.
I got a question about that.
What's that?
How did you reach the sticker?
I stood on the CNC.
Okay. Because I made sure I put it up there pretty high.
Luckily, the guy that built that table, that the CNC set, that table right there is very sturdy, and I can attest to the fact that you can be 230 pounds and stand in the middle of that CNC, and there's no give. It doesn't move. So yeah. But I got it. Hey, I got you. Look right here. Wait a minute.
All right. What are you doing? Oh, there you go. Nice.
Well, you got on to me last time because I went to an event and I actually had somebody ask me if I had any of your stickers. And I was like,
okay. Oh.
Yeah, I do, but they're at the shop. So I'm going to take these and put them in my trailer. So when somebody comes from out of state to one of the events, I could actually give them one of yours too.
Well,
I
there
thought
you
that'd
go.
be kind of cool.
Well, I just like to point out, Mitchell, flattery will get you nowhere, and you still owe us all a bunch of pies.
Huh? What? Did I miss something?
Yes, you did. I'm just saying.
Nice cut,
Yep.
Steve.
Yep.
I'm missing it.
It's one of the guys that works on my team.
Oh, okay. I was to say I totally missed something. I think me and Eric were in the dark on that one.
Yeah. You were. I saw it. Had to call him out on it. But here's a. Oh, you're clicking on stuff. Made it through 9mm solid oak with X tool 10 watt. Yeah, I mean you can get through varying materials. I mean, not necessarily every single material is going to cut the same or have the same success, but it's not that the lower wattage diodes can't necessarily do it. It's that you got to find the right balance of passes and speed. Depending on some of it, you might need to lower it down on some passes as well. But that's where, if you're doing a lot of cutting, doing a lot of thicker cutting, that's where having the higher power is going to definitely be nice. So,
Oh, geez.
I'm telling you.
No, we got a scammer in the room. These people
Calling Greg a scammer just because he wants you to use the laser.
It's Clinton.
Yeah, I know. I
person.
saw it.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, though, I'm going to jump back here to Norbert was asking Eric a little about what work background, and you touched a little bit on that, but anything that you did before the bikes or whatnot, and the class with the laser that jump started this all.
Oh no, I was just doing the bike nonprofit because that was the new thing, but because I enjoyed working on bikes. I used to be a Hollywood promoter, big raves and clubs, things like that. I ran the biggest club in the country for a long time. Your money for nothing, your chicks for free, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it was the greatest thing ever. But I'm 55. At some point, you're like, it's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
So having worked with my head, bringing people, having the greatest time for so long, I didn't know how to work with my hands anymore. And so I said, I want to do stuff with my hands, started working on bikes, and then lasers, that kind of thing. So it's just a nice way to change your life at some point, to do the opposite of what you used to doing.
Sure.
What do I take to shows? I guess that depends what you mean. Products? What do you mean? Like,
Do you do any on-site? I think that's what they're asking.
Oh, I don't do any on-site. No, definitely don't do on-site. And what I bring to shows is, in general, what I said, my best sellers, those are the ones I bring to the shows. But every show is different. And I to the thing that I said earlier about taking a year, right? If you're going to do shows, it takes about a year to find the good shows. And I remember, Clack, you talked to me about that. Like, where do you go to shows to make, $10,000 or whatever? You find the good shows, and that starts by going to farmers markets, doing terrible, selling nothing, bunch of looky-loos. But you could get a chance to ask the other people at the market where the good shows are. And you find 3 or 4 of those per year, and what sells there, and you could do really, really well, and you have enough time to stock up, so
Yeah.
I guess that's the answer. I don't know the specifics of what you're trying to ask, but my
Well,
best sellers, that's what I take.
yeah. 3DHP, that bot was coming through Facebook. It wasn't coming through YouTube. But yeah, no, I do a lot of on-site stuff, which I do outdoor events. I don't do many indoor events, and if I do an indoor event, then I just more or less have the machine there for show. But yeah, it's I have found that the way that I do mine, like I said, and like guys, like I said, this is kind of my side hustle. I enjoy it. I do like selling stuff, but the one thing that I don't like is having to tote a bunch of stuff, set it up, stare at it for 8 hours, and then take it and put it back in the trailer and take it back home with me. And I have found that with me, the way that I operate, the way that I do things in the area that I'm in, the custom on the fly right there, do it in front of them, like the pet tags, keychains, medical alerts, just all kinds of custom little stuff. People will, they buy it. Most of the stuff that I sell at an event is $10 or less. It's like $10, $8, and they will fill their pockets up with them. The cutting boards, the bigger things that I have out, I'll sell one or two, but those are a lot less often. If all I had was cutting boards out there on my table, I would not do as well. But because I have a variety and I also take orders while I'm at events, that's how I manage to make it. Because my rule is I at least want to make my expenses back for that day. Anything beyond that is great. What I don't want to do is go to an event and not make enough to pay for my entry, my food, my fuel, and a little bit for my time. That's what you don't want to do. Now, the first few events you do, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you're probably going to come back negative until you figure it out.
Well, and yeah, I was going to comment on that is that don't have the expectations of making money in your first few shops. Look at it as this is my education. You're going to see what the market bears, see what people are interested in. And as Eric said, talk to the other vendors, ask them, what shows do well for you and what shows should I be looking at and such. And hopefully they'll, most people will, they're not going to view you. It's too much competition to not share that or whatnot. But it's your tuition in learning your business and what's going to work. And, sometimes your first few shows are just, you're going to be there and you're going to learn a lot. And maybe you made enough to buy your lunch or something. It's great when you have a great show, but don't get discouraged your first show or two because you're still trying to figure out what works for you and what works for your market.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would really like to see a video of you making stuff at the show and seeing what that's like. And I'm sure, have you done one like that?
I've got some time lapse, but I'm too busy to like this last. I took Klein with me this last time, and Klein was basically the sales guy, and I was turning them out. Like he had the board. He would write it down on a piece of paper, and he would take and go ahead and get the blanks out of the box, whatever color they wanted, and have the chains and all ready. And he would set it there beside me with a little note with what needed to be on them, and I would burn them and then go to the next one. And it, like I said, it wasn't that way all day. There were lulls, but it was. I sold out of like 3 of my different blanks, my best-selling blanks. Matter of fact, I just ordered 300 more because.
Hey, you guys! I think you all need to we need to get David here to somebody go there and film this and make this because I think it would be super educational. Everybody's covered all this stuff, but very few people cover what you're actually doing at the shows, doing it custom. I'm fascinated.
These right here, I sold out of those. I had ordered 100 of them, and I sold out. So this time when I ordered 300. If I sell out of 300 of them, I feel like I will probably be out of time. Because it doesn't take long. With that F1, I was cranking them out kind of quick, the way that I've got it set up. But I usually take my GoPro and I'll set it, clip it to my booth and just put it on time lapse. And I did that last year, and I was going to do it this year, but I run off and left my little battery pack, and so the GoPro didn't stay on very long.
Well, I mean, but no, maybe you don't have to do it at the show. you could do it at your office or something, just to show like the process of like what you take with you, how the
Oh yeah, I've
the
got
whole-
two. I've actually got two
how it all
videos
works.
on my portable setup.
Yeah, I think I've seen it before, but like literally the sales process from beginning to like how people show up. How
Yeah,
you
that would be
talk to
better. I
them.
think that would be better to see the actual, like, have a video of the event, because I'm terrible at mocking it. Like I said, but I've got two more coming up September, and which that's probably going to be a smaller event, but the other one's a meet and greet. But I'm also going to be making stuff there, so I'll try to do a little better job of videoing it. But it's just like I said, there are laws like with any event. I know if you've ever, you first thing in the morning you'll have like a wave, and then you'll have like a 30-minute little downtime, and then to where it's just kind of sporadic, and then it picks up. But I think the Peach Jam event that I was at the other day, the vendor area was a little over 10,000 people there that day, and we stayed busy. If Klein hadn't have been there, I would have never made it. Brandy says she'll try to video me in September.
Yeah,
When we do
I've never
that's
seen
going to be a
anybody-
smaller. That's going to be a smaller event though. So
That might be
sounds-
helpful.
Sounds like I need to come down next year later, come hang out with you at Peach Jam, and I'll just shove a camera in your face the whole time.
yeah. Well, if I can get Bill over at Milk Money, if I can get him to not be working, he's got enough camera equipment that he could do it. But it's tough. Like, you know how it is when you're trying to work and actually push out a product and you're trying to make a video at the same time. It's really tough at those events. That's why I usually just set the GoPro up and set it on time lapse. That way it just kind of shows. Matter of fact, I should still have the.
At all the shows I've ever been to, I've never seen anybody doing what you're doing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny. When I started doing it in the beginning, I thought it was just like, maybe I'd make 2 or 3 things, and just sell a whole bunch of, because I was carrying like boatloads of cutting boards and stuff like that. But then people just started wanting keychains, and I'm like, well, why am I doing this? And so I started doing the small stuff. Event 99. What is that?
Yeah, logistically, it's just a lot more fun. I like doing 2-day shows. You set up once, keep it up for 2 days, and bringing small stuff, like you said, it's a lot easier than bringing a bunch of stove covers or cutting boards, or I don't know how people do like glasses and ceramics and tumblers and things like that. It's just logistically,
Mm-hmm. Well, Brandy says I can come to Peach Jam.
Okay, here you go. There you are, right there. But yeah, this was like last year's Peach Jam, and it wasn't as good as this year's, but it stayed very busy. And part of the problem last year was I was pretty much by myself, and you can see I'm still running the X-Tool D1 in this video. I don't have the F1, so I'm not able to crank them out as well as I would like to with this particular setup. Now you can see the kind of lull. There you go, and then here they come back. Matter of fact, I think that guy's one of my viewers. He hung out with me for a while, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was interesting.
Cool.
but you'd have to figure out like how to get it into the computer and all of that to be able to show them. There's logistics to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, doing it at the event would be tough. Somebody would just have to be kind of shoulder surfing me to be able to do any significant video with it. And I have a bunch of folks that'll come back and they'll come back and they'll come back. But some of it is because they're telling me what they want and they come back and pick it up later. And so that's a big thing at these events is a lot of times people will be like, hey, I'll be back in 10 minutes. Here's my money. I'll come back by and pick it up. I don't want to wait. But with the F1, now that I'm not using the X1, the D1, I'm using the F1. The turnaround time on getting your engrave done is much, much faster. So, but yeah, this is what I normally do. But I like I said, GoPro was dead. My bad. This past year. So, but that's You see, there's nobody's getting the big cutting boards and stuff that are laying there. Everybody's getting keychains. That's keychains, dog tags, all that. This guy does lasers too. He was picking my brain and asking me about the setup because he was selling stuff, but he said that his booth was nowhere near as hopping as mine, and so he come over and talked to me and Klein for a while. He had a lot of cutting boards and stuff like that. He was just really curious about the setup, and so he hung around. Oh, look, there's Bob Weir. Bob, are you here? There's Bob Weir right there. That's Bob, guys, from Birmingham, Alabama. Bob typically comes by and hangs out with us for a little while we're there. Now my setup, like I said, it's a little bit different now, but for the most part, other than the machine swaps, it's pretty much the same. But yeah, this guy was really fascinated with what we were doing. But this goes on for a while. This was like I said, it was a long event. I stayed out there selling until after dark. So we'll get back to the camera. But yeah, that's typically what I do is just time lapse. But this year I lost my GoPro charger, couldn't find it. It had slid under the seat of the truck, and the battery that was in it was about dead. My battery packs, both of them, had somehow or another wound up in the house, and I was taxed for USB ports already and didn't have a long enough cable. And so I'm just like, you know what? Not this year. But yeah, hopefully next event I'll be able to have the GoPro set back up like that because I like doing the time lapse.
So David Allen's asking, have any of us tested the new Sculpt Fund RA Max rotary? Is it worth it? I haven't powered it up yet, but I do have it. And so you've heard us talk a lot about the Atom Stack rotary, which is this one. And it is very similar in size, form factor, function. Now, the difference with the RA Max is it has these rollers that are integrated into this rather than a separate unit. Now, you can take these off. There's just some screws on here. You can remove the rollers, get them out of the way for larger items. And that would also then allow you to flip this over. With these in, it's locked in place, but you can loosen this up and then rotate it if you have an even larger object. But I can't speak to its function yet. It does have a slightly different rotation per step number than these. So obviously the stepper motor is slightly different, or the belt gearing is slightly different. But I mean, just looking at them, they look very similar. And, Clack and I have been really up on the Atom Stack rotary.
Yep, got one right in there.
So I
love those things.
Like I mentioned earlier, I've got the Sculpt Fun A9, their 40-watt laser that I've been working with. Just waiting for a replacement part to ensure that everything's working as it should. And then I'll have some information about that laser, as well as we'll put this through the paces with at least this and maybe one of the earlier Sculpt Fun machines. I believe they offer a couple cables to it, so it should work with a lot of other lasers as well.
Yeah. Gene said he dragged his Rolly MK2 to a couple of events to do customs. And if you can transport it, like I said, the Rolly wouldn't be a bad machine for that. Now, it's a little bigger than what I need at most events that I go to. That's why I'm running the A24 now on my portable setup. I run the A24 and the F1, and that is a deadly combination because the A24 will cut and engrave the smaller to mid-size stuff. Anything big enough that I need my X40 or the A70 to do, I'm just going to take an order there and get back with them from there, because I have on my booth, I also have QR codes on the front of it where they can scan it and send me a message to my website if they want to place an order, so they can call them back without having to go through a lot of trouble. It's just as simple as scan the QR code and click message me. So
yeah, and you mentioned no one was touching the cutting boards. I still advocate it's good to have a couple of those items. Maybe your graduation items, things that you can customize that people enjoy. And just to show it sparks the ideas. And that's where, you might not sell them at the event, but people will go, hey, I saw that guy. He had these things customized. I'm going to reach out to him. So,
yeah, the ones that I take with me to events are typically small enough that I could put an engrave on them at the event if I wanted to. Because at Peach Jam, I actually did sell a couple of bamboo cutting boards, and I had one custom engrave. And I actually, if you saw my little dog, my little Chihuahua that wears the dog tags, I actually sold one of those Chihuahuas at that event. A lady wanted one, and I was like, "That's really just my display." She's like, "Well, can I get one of those without the $8 each on it?" I'm like, "Sure." So I cut it out on the A24. She came back by and got it. It was like $10. I was like, "Because it's literally just." So it works. It works out. It's fun. I enjoy it, and like I said, the next event that I'm doing one in September, which is going to be a Pedals from the Past. It's a YouTubers meet and greet. Oh, Steve's got the over the shoulder. But it's a YouTubers meet and greet. And then in October, I'm actually sponsoring one of the local humane societies having an event. And I'm going to be set up at that one. I feel like that's going to be a big deal for me, because everybody that's going to be at the Humane Society event is going to be a pet person. And being that I specialize in pet tags portably, I think I'll be selling a bunch of those.
Yeah, this was the woodworking expo last year, and this is about 6 to 7 hours compressed into about 30 seconds. And I did have the F1 there. I had the D1 and the F1 available to work, but all I was using was the F1, cranking out cards and such, and some coasters. And yeah, for the first 4 hours, I was just talking. So that's. I mean, this was a different audience because I wasn't necessarily trying to sell stuff. I was educating people about lasers and such. But yeah, you got to be talking to people is the big thing there. That at any event, and so bring water, because you're gonna need it because the amount of talking you're gonna be doing. Yeah, Brian is somewhere in here. I don't think it's quite as detailed as Clax. I'd have to look through it a little closer, but yeah, it was a interesting show, and they'll be doing it again this year, but it's up at the state fairgrounds, and I'm not sure I'll be demoing at it this year or not. I haven't decided yet, but yeah, that was that D1 with my enclosure was a bit unwieldy. Actually, to move that around, I would take the laser out, move the box, and then bring the laser in. So the Lasermatic 2 would probably be a little bit easier than that. But any of these lasers being portable like that, it a little bit smaller on-site stuff is a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
Oh, did I freeze myself?
You do look frozen.
Nice. All right.
I mean,
well, just go on without me. I'm here.
Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah, at least it froze in a good spot.
That's the look. That's the look I have anytime I'm watching Clax videos. Now, what's he gonna say?
Golly, man, cheap shot.
All right, let me see if I can fix that.
Oh gosh, but yeah, it's like I said. Events, you just got to kind of figure out what works for you and what works in your area, because there's a 1,000 different ways you can go about doing things.
Yeah, and something may work in one show and not work in the next. You just never know. That's why doing it over and over is so helpful.
Right view now.
Oh, so here is the transition from nothing to getting it set up. Yeah, this is where Klein was late getting there, and so I pretty much had to set everything up myself. This is me, one man in a tent. That's how you move a tent with one person.
Hey, I'm working again.
Oh, that was it. But yeah, I'll try to do better on my video one. I need to buy me a new GoPro. My GoPro batteries are getting where they don't hold up real well.
Yeah, which version do you have that you're running?
Hero 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember. I think I have the 8. Oh wait, it's right here. Yep, mine's the 8.
Which, I mean, it does okay. I did recently order 2 new batteries for it, so it's much better now than it was, because I had the blue batteries that came with it. Now I got the white, the extended life ones.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah. So these are and I almost cheaped out. I ain't gonna lie. I almost bought like some replacement batteries, but I was like, no, I want the GoPro and I want the extended life, and so I got these guys.
I actually have some aftermarket ones for mine as well, along with a separate quick charger, and they work okay. But I don't use that as much or as hard as my other cameras. So
Yeah, I don't use it. I use it at the sawmill. I use it when I'm using the tractor, or, the buggy or something outside. And then at events, I set time lapses and stuff. But and I use it on my CNC. That's the one that I clamp to the head of the CNC and do the videos from there. So it's it's good. I like it, but I need to get me a newer one.
better talk to accounting about that.
I am accounting. I am the accounting,
Oh,
the
okay.
complaint department.
Is
IT.
Brandy still here? Because I mean, I remember a few purchases that
Well,
were
now
no
she will.
surprises.
Yeah, but there's a threshold. There's a threshold. As long as they got too many zeros after it, she really doesn't care. If I can stay within 2 zeros, I'm okay. If I start getting into 3 zeros, she kind of jumps in there a little bit on those. Gene, if I've got help, I can have it. I can have everything pretty much ready to go within like 20 minutes. Of course, there's power up software and all that. I typically try to, the night before I go to an event, bring my laptop into the shop because I have a laptop that stays in the trailer that I use for events. I try to bring the laptop in the shop, go ahead and update it while I'm here on my good internet before I get out in the field. Because sometimes internet at some of these events, especially the ones that are out in the country somewhere, the internet's not great. So I try to go ahead the night before, make sure everything is up to date. I also, because a lot of times I'll build jigs in here that aren't on that laptop. And so I also back up copies of my jigs and my files and move them over to the machine so that I got fresh copies. Some of my artwork, stuff like that, make sure everything gets moved over. And so I would say 30 minutes I can go from, pulling up, unhooking from the trailer, or dropping the tailgate to actually turning out product and making sales. But now keep in mind, I've got it like when you're loading and unloading that trailer, like each piece that comes out of there there's an order. Like you start at the tailgate and go to the front of the trailer. And I've also got my boxes labeled like Christmas stuff, blanks, cutting boards, tabletop displays. I mean, I've got everything labeled so that I know, okay, today we're not going to try to sell Christmas stuff, so let me leave that in the trailer. So that makes it a little quicker. So you done got her started.
Hey, I just know in the past that there's been some maybe a little bit of friction from the lack of communication, some surprise notifications,
Well, I mean, that was just that sawmill. Like, I can't help it. My buddy can't keep his mouth shut. He wanted to.
Perimeter alert, driveway.
Then a laser, and then a. Now, Brandy, if he tries to pull some more, I mean, the GoPro 12 is only about $300. So, I mean, just, if he tries to add on maybe a bigger digit in front of those 2 zeros, just trying to keep him honest here.
Oh, that's the oldest child. She's coming home late. But,
Aaron's asking, what do you run for power at these events? I think we've talked a little bit about this before.
Yeah. My Win 2000 watt inverted generator.
And again, you're doing you do outdoor events, and usually you've got a little space, and that thing's pretty quiet. But
yeah, it's very quiet. Because there's some people bring those generators that you can hear theirs across the park.
Yeah,
and you never hear mine. Mine's especially because I always try to negotiate myself into a spot that has an open area behind it, so that I can, one, leave my trailer there so that I got my big logo, and two, that gives me a place that I can kind of use the trailer to kind of hide the generator and keep my gas on hand and stuff like that. Just like the one I signed up for in October, I basically told them I was going to do one of their bigger sponsor packages, and instead of all the extra stuff that they wanted to give me for being a sponsor of the event, I was like, can you just give me a space that like there's nobody behind me so I can leave my trailer sitting there? That'd be great. And so those are, I try to get a spot that works for my setup and that's generally part of the negotiating. If I have to pay extra, I pay extra to have 2 spaces as opposed to just one or whatever. But typically it's doable because where they set them up at, and I've got a 4-wheel drive truck, so I can pretty much put that trailer wherever it needs to go.
Nice. I was gonna say no. I did a short video on it while I was down there, but I run this VTO Man Jump 1500, and there's actually a lightning deal on it right now on Amazon for $459. So it's normally $800, and yeah, I paid a little bit more than that for it. But this has well, they're saying 828 watt hours. So when I was running the Atom Stack A24, the Air Assist, my laptop on that, it was reading off that I could run it for around 7 hours, and that was with it actively running a job. So that for your typical event should be enough time because you're not going to be running your laser constantly. I mean, maybe you are, but you're probably not going to be running it constantly. So that should get you through a good 7 to 8 hour day on one of those. And for right now, $460, that's a pretty good steal to have a portable power. If you're not in an area that you can run a generator, and you can augment this, you can plug in a solar panel to it. Now, the downfall of this one is that its input wattage is lower than typical. So it takes a little bit longer to recharge, but I was okay with that because I was just I wanted the best bang for my buck in watt hour to dollar. And that's where I bought this one. And I've been using it for a couple of years on road trips and running the laser portably and such. So definitely check that out. There's a few different, there's a lot of different brands out there. You don't have to go with the Jackeries and the Blue Eddies and the name brand ones. Trying to find the balance of, really it's your watt hour to the amount spent. So, yeah, they work well for me. And I also have a generator if I need it, but this is a little more acceptable if you're in close quarters.
Yeah, the thing that gets me though is my fan. I gotta have my fan, so I like my generator because I like to stay cool. I like to stay cool, but like I said, a lot of times too, I get stuck near the food vendors because if you tell them you got a radio, if you tell them you've got a generator, they stick you near the food vendors because all of the food vendors have generators, and those food vendors typically don't have quiet generators.
Just get yourself a little USB battery power.
That don't cut it. I gotta have my 24-inch barn fan. It works good. Well, we got Eric now. Eric's going to be like loading up a machine, taking it to an event. He's going to find a new untapped resource.
Yeah, I'm not sure that will be my thing, but I did want a video to point, people starting a business. I want them to have every possible thing that makes them happy, right? I don't like doing personalized things. I don't like doing one-of-a-kind stuff. I don't like having to make something perfect for somebody. I just want to make it. If they like it, cool. If they don't like it, cool. But I think it's a really great business idea, and I would love to point my channel to a video that shows them step by step, not how somebody thinks you could do it, but how somebody actually does do it, and that's you.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about trying to get a little bit more video together, but it's when you're a one-man show, a lot of times it is tough, trying to do all those things. But now I am recruiting some help. I've got Bill, I've got Klein now, so it's getting to where, because I'll be honest with you, I could not have handled the workload at Peach Jam by myself, and Klein was a lifesaver. I wound up actually paying him for going with me to the event because I was like, dude, I couldn't have made it without you. Even though he volunteered just because he wanted to learn how to do events, and because he had an event, I think it was last year, and I even offered to let him borrow my setup to take with him so that he could just use my stuff. And he was like, oh no, I don't know how to do that. He wound up, I think he did go and set up a little table or whatever, but he wanted to go this year just to learn and how to engage with customers when they walk by and all that. And he actually did a really good job. So if I hadn't had him, I'd have been in trouble. because Brandy has to actually work for her job that day, and she wasn't there to help. Now, if Brandy's available, she's a really good salesperson. Like she can sell like water to a fish.
Yeah, we need to learn from all of your mistakes because I know you've made a bunch.
It's been a learning curve. This is, I'll make them every day. Kind of like case in point. Yesterday, $40 mistake right here. $40 mistake. All because that's my Genie bit that I snapped in half.
Oh, yes, you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, all because I didn't flip a switch. But that's what happens when I got somebody in here and I'm trying to do the job, and that they want to see the process. And the lady was like, "Can I record this?" And I'm like, "No, we don't allow video recording in this shop." She's looked at me and I'm like, "No, you can record it. I don't care." I just lost my little top. That'll end up in a vacuum. But yeah, I told her, I was like, "No, you can't record in here. I don't allow cameras in here." And she's kind of like, "What?" But yeah, it's Brandy said flattery. She says she approves the GoPro, Steve. I want her over.
Well,
yeah, that'll be like I said. I'll try to work on that, but hopefully that event in September is going to be pretty big. I don't know how much stuff I'll be making. It's more of a meet and greet. But last time it was a meet and greet, and I wasn't trying to sell anything, and I had people trying to buy from me all day. So I was like, they're like, "You're not making anything?" And I was like, "Well, no." They're like, "Well, I'd really like to buy something." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't pay for the vendor side of it. I only paid for the meet and greet side of it." So this year I went ahead and just paid everything. So I'll be doing both. I'll be able to sell and do the meet and greet as well.
Nice.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah, well, Norbert, if you find the right settings, most any color you can do. Now, I will say with the blue diodes, some of the colors, the lighter colors like the pinks, the real light blues, it's kind of hard to see the text with a blue diode because all you're doing is really scratching off the anodization and exposing the steel or the metal, the aluminum. But with the fiber, with the F1, with the fiber, especially at real high speeds, all it really does is it changes the color of the coating to white, which is really easy to read. And hang on, I'll grab some of the stuff that I've got to show you.
There are some, there is a set of blue anodized aluminum business cards that both diodes and fiber lasers, they just did not like them for me. And I was just trying to look up what brand that was because, might be one to avoid. Because I know there's another brand that I've used; they've worked fine. But again, test your material before you commit to an order or project. Make sure you've got the right stuff because you might find out that you order 100 of these cards and they just aren't engraving right for you. So
yeah, see, these are the this is one that I did on the F1 Ultra, and these actually engrave pretty good with the blue, but black's really forgiving, whether you're using blue or whether you're using the IR. This is the real heavy stainless steel ones that I buy that everybody loves, and doing it with the blue, it didn't quite get all of the coating off of there, and it's kind of hard to see. But when I did it with the IR, I got like this gold text on it because basically I removed the coating and then kind of engraved the stainless steel to get that gold finish. But dust everywhere. But this is the stuff I did in the video, and this is all with the IR because it changes, instead of just removing the coating, it changes it to white. And so you can do pretty much whatever you want on these, and it shows up real well. Whereas with this one, I did with the blue, and it just kind of removed the coating. So it's varying results. Here's some different tests. You can see a couple of them are actually made white, and then the one was done with the blue, and it just kind of removed the coating. So You just got to play with them. I have a couple of the brands that I use, the dog tags and the anodized stuff that I use. I have it in my Amazon shop, and I also have videos showing you using those or whatever. But the biggest thing is you're going to have to take time and figure out the settings, and either start yourself a settings library or a notebook or something to be able to keep up with all that, because it is a lot to remember. That's one thing I like about the IR when it comes to anodized stuff. I can run the same setting on almost any of them and have really good results. Whereas with blue, depending on the color, you got to go hotter, you got to go faster, you got to go slower. The IR is a little more consistent no matter what the color. Oh, it seems so. This is just my 2 cents on that. But I will have some more content coming. I just, like I said, this weekend has been rough. Oh, there you go.
There you
Steve's got a.
My favorite project. I love working with leather. I know I just saw Clack, you just made something with leather not too long ago. I make leather wallets, all different kinds. I have like 3 or 4 different files that I sell. I love the stitching. You know, I graduated from fashion design school. I know how to sew, but I would rather do it by hand all day long. It's just, I love it. You get it saddle stitch. I got my little stitching ponies right next to me all times. I'll be watching one of you guys' videos and stitching wallets, and it's very zen. Diode laser. You got a 10-watt diode laser. You're worried about what you're gonna make? Making wallets, man. 10-watt diode cut. I was running 100% power and 30 millimeters per minute on a 10-watt diode. It was cutting leather just fine. So
and it smells great too.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a really good ventilation. Really good.
I would hope so.
It smells great too. So
Yeah.
you don't have to vent it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No. I think you better get your nose checked there, Clack.
Yeah, I'm doing leather keychains now for a lot of stores. So higher end, Italian leather keychains with, nicer looking, and that's really fun too. I enjoy doing that.
Yeah, it sounds like to me, from what I've learned tonight, Eric is like right the opposite of me. He enjoys stitching leather. He doesn't like doing custom stuff. He would rather do like cookie cutters. It honestly sounds like he might be my, my yang to my yin or whatever, because everything he's talking about he enjoys are the things that I'm like, oh my gosh, like these stove covers. I make good money doing these things, and Brandy reminds me of that daily. But it's like once I've perfected the process, I'm ready to move on to something else. But I have to do these, because if not, it's going to be awful hard to do woodworking in here with no electricity. So I got to pay the power bill. So I have to sell stuff to keep the lights on. But I really enjoy like somebody going, hey, can you make this? And I'm like, well, heck yeah, I can make that in like 10 minutes. That's what I enjoy. Not, hey, can you make me 300 of these? I'm like, I can, yeah, but I don't want to. So it's a little different. It's a different perspective than what I have, but it's good.
See, you don't like stove covers. You don't like the stuff that May sends you.
No, I mean, I enjoy it. I like it, but it repetition. I would have never made it. If the only jobs that I could have got were an assembly line somewhere, I would have starved. I can't. I physically, my mind doesn't work that way. My mind has to be solving problems and creating things and making things pretty regularly to stay healthy. If not, I will just fall to pieces.
I'm with you there. I enjoy the challenge of something new, but for me, it's also the challenge of how can I add efficiency to this? How can I improve this process? And so, that because, I've been there. I had my airplane stands and they were my bread and butter, but after a while you got boring doing it. So I'd always like, okay, how can I do this a little bit better to be able to stock these up faster and such? So, yeah.
That's all the screw holes for a stove cover. You just slide this over it. The little peak holes lets you see the corners of the stove cover. You take a pencil, choo, 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 and then I've got 2 impacts and 2 drills, so I don't even have to change bits to put these things together. I mean, I've got it as about as efficient as I can without a really big table saw. If I had a really big table saw, I could make it more efficient. Like my chop saw, I've got my guide set up on a chop saw to where I just slide the board into the guide to go chop, chop, chop. But yeah,
That's what's great about lasers. I mean, all 3 of us are different. We all like different stuff, but we still all love lasers. It's like almost an unlimited amount of things you could do with these things.
oh yeah. But it's interesting. And Steve, I heard you earlier gonna mention the map. And I guess since we got Eric in here, as long as I don't get too late, I gotta go to work tomorrow. But as long as it ain't too late, we can kind of go over. But you want to talk about the map and subscribing to Eric if you haven't already, and go check out his videos and go watch him just sit and stitch stuff for fun. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, no, we've got some links down in the description of our videos. And I think near the top, you're going to see Eric's channel, but I did put it in the chat for everyone. Definitely, if you haven't seen any of these videos, haven't subscribed to them, definitely go check that out. You got a taste of what he does here and his kind of ethos and his insight behind it. A lot of good tips around, like we talked about earlier, more of the honest how to start up a laser and not do this and get $10,000 in a month and be happy. But he's got a lot of good information about that. He does some laser reviews, but from the standpoint of how does this work into his business and how it might work in a similar one for you. So it's another nice viewpoint along that of someone who's not just telling you the script points and the cool things about it, but how does it actually work in his business? So definitely go check those out. Along with that, then there's links to our Facebook group, Laser Engraving Community. You can jump on there if there's questions you want to ask during the week. You want to share some thoughts and ideas, project you're working on. We try to keep it more just viewer engagement. We ask that you give more than you take. It's okay to maybe do a little promotion in there, but jump in on the other threads as well. Throw some comments, maybe answer a question, things like that. Otherwise, we tend to kick out the heavy spammers and such. But also we have a laser engraver community map that kind of came out from that page as well as these live streams. And you can check out the map. It's you can see where people have put their pins in, and if you want to drop your pin in there, there's also a link to a quick form. All you need to do is put in a name, could be your username, could be your real name, could be your business name, and then a rough location. It could be just a city, state, anything that Google Maps is going to recognize. That'll drop it into the list, and then I update that every so often. Try to do it after every stream because that's when we get the most of them. But then you can see who's around you. We use it on occasion to say, hey, we're going to be in this area. That people want to do a meetup, things like that. And just in general, it's kind of fun thing to see where everybody's at. So definitely check that out as well. And then, of course, if you're new to either of our channels, definitely check out Clack over at his channel.
Or Steve.
And definitely, yeah, you could check out myself as well. If you're new, just from either channel, we similar but different takes on things. We do some laser reviews. We do a lot of projects. We do a lot of tutorials and things around the workshop. It goes out beyond lasers. We talk a bit about CNCs. We've talked about 3D printers. I do traditional woodworking from time to time, although I haven't done as much of that on the channel recently, just because of timing and bigger projects. But hopefully you enjoy that. So did I fill up enough time?
Well, I just want to make sure we got that out there because, like I said, the map is kind of cool. And I've had a few people, and I'm going to approach this. I've been trying to figure out how to approach it, without sounding like what people call me sometimes. But I've had a few people email me about, reviewing videos, and this one said that they're only use this machine, they won't do reviews and stuff like that. And the only way I know to explain it to you guys is when it comes to reviewing machines, I'm trying not to take in anything that I know is going to be garbage. And because believe it or not, a lot of these machines, the smaller ones, I'm not making any money off of doing a review on a machine that costs $200 that very few people buy. The reason that I do reviews, because people keep asking me, hey, why are you, is because when you guys call me and go, or message me and go, hey, I've got an Adam Stack A20 and I'm having this issue, the more knowledge of how these machines work, the easier it is for me to help you. Other than that, I like lasers. Okay. I enjoy them. So if somebody says, hey, can you try this out? I mean, it's like a kid in a candy store. All right. Yes, I'll try it out. Now, if you want to know which machines I like and which machines I don't like, or, which machines I think are the most powerful, most productive for me, just look around the shop, because if I don't think it's something that's going to help me and benefit me in what I do, it's probably going to get handed down to somebody else. Not saying it's a bad machine, but it can't outperform the ones that I'm keeping, if that makes sense to you. Because I'm not going to give my buddy a machine that could outperform the ones I'm using to run my business. That just doesn't make sense. And I know, I know Eric's kind of the same way from what I've seen with his content. Is he's like me and Steve. I do know Steve. Me and Steve are on the same page with it. I'm not all in with any one particular machine. If you said, hey, I want to engrave the back of the cell phone, okay, there's a whole bunch of machines that you might want to look at, and I'll give you the options, and you can pick which one you think works for you. I really don't care which machine you pick, because chances are, if they send us a machine, I've got affiliate links for it. So whether it's the most expensive or the cheapest, it doesn't matter to me. So that's the one thing, because people are like, well, and I don't think nobody's necessarily been like poking at me or poking at Steve, but apparently some of the audience thought that they were and have reached out to me. I don't take it that way. Steve does his videos different than I do mine. Eric does his different. Everybody has their own style, their own thing. And I'm not hating on nobody. I'm not going to hate on anybody. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. So, but if you've ever asked yourself, why do I do it? It's basically that. I love playing with lasers. And if somebody said, hey, can I send you this laser and you play with it and it's not going to cost you anything, I'd be an idiot to turn it down. Especially if all they want's a couple of videos. Now, do I make money on all those videos? No. I got a honeycomb in there right now. I'm not going to make any money on that video, but I got a honeycomb to use. And if you guys are out there looking for a honeycomb and want to know, hey, will this one work? I can tell you, yeah, I've used it. It works as good as any other honeycomb. So that's what I'm all about. And the community thing with the Laser Engraver community page, if you're a member there and you see somebody's having an issue and it's an issue you know the answer to, it doesn't have to be me or Steve or Eric or whoever. It's everybody helps everybody. If you know the answer to what they're having a problem with, let them know, hey, this is what my problem was and it fixed mine. So you might want to check that. That's the thing with it's a community page. It's not my page. It's not Steve's page. It's a community page. So, but yeah, but just to clear that up, because there's been 3 or 4 people sending me messages. And like I said, guys, I think a lot of times guys are just expressing their opinions and their views on things. And maybe from your perspective, maybe you thought they were speaking of a certain person or whatever, but I don't worry about it. I'm going to do me, and I'm going to let other people do them. So I hope that answers your question. And I know, like I said, me and Steve, I love the fact that I can almost work on any laser on the market. I can troubleshoot it. I can fix it. I can get it working. And I also like the fact that if y'all guys see a machine that you want, I don't ever reach out to companies other than like Shapeco. I did ask them if I could have an affiliate account since I was going to spend $5,000 with them. But other than that, I don't ask for lasers. They typically get offered. But when a company, if you guys are interested in a particular machine like the LP4, and they offer it to me, I'll take it and I'll try it out. I had a guy come visit the shop, brought me a knife that he engraved with one of the LPs, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool that it does that. And he told me he like packed it in his backpack and brought it on the plane and all that. So, I was like, well, hey. So when they reached out to me, I'm like, heck yeah, I'll try it out, see what it's like. Because I want to be a resource for everybody, not just the guys that use the laser pecker. So that's my take on that.
You said it.
I did for you, Steve. I said it
I was
with
gonna,
a
I was gonna
with a
say,
straight face.
I was
Even.
gonna say, you're eventually gonna have to make a video with that thing, and you're
I
gonna have to
know
say it.
I'm having to practice saying it
But
without chuckling.
yeah, no, uh, you like you said, you and I see fairly eye to eye on that, and uh, I I'm not going to throw shade at anyone. And if someone wants to infer it on me, I mean, you and I've talked about this in the past. I mean, you're putting yourself out here. You got to be a little thick skinned because you're going to get feedback.
And not always good.
I'll just put it that way. You're going to get feedback. And yeah, it's not always good. But yeah, I was the kid who liked figuring things out. And sometimes that was taking something apart. Sometimes that was putting something together. And I've always had an interest in electronics. Always had, building things. And so lasers have gone really well with that. And so I do enjoy testing things out, but I also feel it gives me a better chance, like you were mentioning, to have experience to be able to speak to, okay, this one does that really well. This one does this very well. This was maybe something to watch out for this one, but uh, without getting your hands on them, I don't think it's fair to say this one laser is the best thing ever, and you should only buy this one if you haven't had experience with a broader range of them. And competition breeds success for everyone. So I, I want to challenge all of the laser manufacturers with, hey, you did this well, but I think you could have done better here as well, But yeah, so yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know. I like you and all of us, we watch other people and try to sometimes, like you say, to see if they're seeing the same things or what their thoughts were on it. But I still try to make sure it's my own impressions and not let that bias me too much.
Yeah. Oh, and somebody, Aldrich is asking about the F1 Ultra, that big green thing right there. So yeah, Aldrich, I did one video so far, but more to come as soon as I get caught up and get my head above water. But yeah.
Maybe if I do the perspective thing, if I hold it up like this, and I'm back here, now it looks like I have an.
I mean, it kind of favors an Ultra at that point. Yeah. But look at this. This is the F1, and this is the Ultra. And if I knew Marvel wouldn't sue me, I'd make me like an Ultron sticker and put on it. But
yeah, a lot of people are asking about that machine. So I would love to have a place to send them because that's a pretty hefty price tag. I don't want people to be buying it if it's not amazing, right? But
yeah,
maybe it is.
It does bring. I've heard people say that if you're going to spend that money, just go ahead and buy a fiber. And in one sense, if all you're wanting is a fiber, then yeah, okay. I mean, if that's all you want, but if you want the blue and you want the different machine capabilities, then it's a pretty good little bump. But the one thing that I will say, and I think I got stuff all in the inside of it right now, but let me get this refreshed right quick before we go. I think it's full of stuff. I think I set all that anodized stuff inside it. But so far it's not terrible. Yeah, it's slap full of stuff. but yeah, the camera on it is a lot better than what I thought it would be. Using the jigs and stuff like that it's so far so good. That's what I say. Is it the machine that's going to cause me to throw all the rest of my machines away? No. I mean, it has a place. I have found that with the added size work area, it does a pretty good job. The one downside of using the 20-watt blue is I'm spoilt with air assist, and there's something about having that little candle flame going back and forth inside there that not a fan. But the IR and doing things that aren't flammable with it with the blue, it's really fast. But I'm just, like I said, still trying it out. Yeah, I told Dennis, I told Cody I broke his bit. I actually texted him a picture of it earlier, and I was like, "Dude, what are you selling?" And he's like, "Oh my God, what happened?" I was like, "No, it was all on me. That was all on me. You didn't. It wasn't you." But yeah. Richard, bamboo. Well, back over here in my outgoing orders pile. Bamboo, sir. And you can go and you can talk to whoever you want to. Steve, there's several other larger channels. They think that I got some kind of weird voodoo crap going on with bamboo because I get these colors. But that's not the case, guys. I buy and sell piles of these. Like this is one of my regularly ordered items. And I have figured out the settings. And I figured out what machines do well on it and what machines do not. And I'm going to tell you, in this building so far, the two machines that I use on bamboo with the best results, which the We Create, I got a little more practice maybe, but right now my go-to for these is that guy because I have figured out the settings and because you can adjust the frequency on the rolling and stuff, and I played around with the settings and I've figured out how to consistently get good results. Now the Algo Laser Alpha MK2 also does really good on these. The Atom stacks tend to get a little bit more of that variation for some reason. I think it's got to do with the beam size. Personally, I think that's what it is. I am wanting to try the Ultra on these because if the Ultra can do these, that's going to be something special. So we'll see. But yeah, that was the first try today on this one that I got ordered. But I do a lot of testing with them. And I do a lot of them. So 20 watt compared to a 2 watt hour, it's like 10 times faster. I mean, same results, just 10 times faster. But anyway, what y'all got? Anybody got anything else? It's 2 hours and 16 minutes. So we gave y'all a bonus 20 extra minutes. So if you haven't liked hit the like button, please do. Because we gave you extra 20 minutes. I mean, it's only fair, right?
Yeah, I'll answer a couple things really quick. I saw I do engrave on the leather. Yeah, it works great. Settings are everything. And as far as the bestseller pack, thank you for doing that. And I make a video on every single one of those because they're my bestsellers. What I do all day long. So if you have any questions on it, just go to the video for that particular thing.
Yeah. Dennis, not that I'm aware of, and to be honest with you, I really have no need for the extra wide rolling. Nothing against it, but it's not going to be as wide as my X40. And my X40 is set up to where I do my stove covers in it, and even the extra wide, it would not suffice for my stove covers, and I'm not prepared to give up that kind of real estate. Just like when Adam Stack offered to send me that 850 by 850 laser, and I told him I didn't have room for it, nor did I have a justification for it. It's the same thing. I don't. This one, for what I use it for, this one's plenty of room for me. But keep in mind, I mean, I have this huge, 850 by 400 and something machine sitting over here with a bed that goes up and down, automatic air assist. I mean, the whole 9 yards. I have no need because stove covers simply slide in there into a jig that's made into the enclosure, lock in place. I've got a pre-configured file, and I just hit send, and it burns them. So that couldn't do that. Not even the extra wide, because I think it's 24 wide.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I got to have 30 and a half to get a stove cover in there, so not going to work. But, not that it's a bad machine. It's basically the same as this one, just wider. And for some people, that would be a good upgrade. For me, it just doesn't fit. And that's what I'm telling you guys. It's nothing against the machine. It's just my machines are specifically for the applications that benefit my business.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, look at there. Glad to see Eric was here. So maybe we'll get some extra like brownie points with Eric here. I mean, we did basically cover the entire United States if you draw like a triangle.
Well, I think I mentioned YouTube channels on like every third video or something, right? Because you cover a lot of the stuff that I don't do. So it works out perfect.
Yeah. Well, hey, keep sending them our way. We'll keep sending them your way. Because like I said, just like with me and Steve and I, we're similar in a lot of ways. He's a little shorter than I am, but in a lot of ways, we're different. But we like working together because there are times that I have ideas that Steve likes, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I could do that." And it's the same thing with Steve. Sometimes Steve's ideas I like. So, hey, diversity in ideology is a good thing. That's how a team is not made up of people that have the exact same thought process, or it wouldn't be a very good team. It'd be just one guy. So another reason I like partnering with him, other than the fact that he is like a real short, kind of small guy, and I just try to take care of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, says the guy turning 40.
Well, yeah, I mean, I am 49.
Yeah.
But enjoyed it, guys. I hope it was entertaining, informative, whatever. Just, maybe you got something out of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not making any promises this week as to what I'm going to get done because I did that last week and Mother Nature threw me a curveball. So I'm just going to say I'm not getting anything done this week. And we'll see where it goes.
Well, I wanted to mention, I hope it stays dry where you're at. I hope the weather gets better. And I noticed you're walking a lot better there, David. Your back seems to be doing a lot better, huh?
Oh yeah, I actually was able to get back in the gym a week and a half ago. So I waited as long as the doctors told me to, and when they told me that hey, it's okay to start actually getting back to what I used to do. So I've actually got back in the weight room. I'm not doing anything crazy, no deadlifts, no nothing stupid. I just go in there and do some mid-range, high rep workouts. And so far, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it's actually helping the situation because I thought they had told me that physical therapy might be something they wanted to recommend. I'm like, dude, I've been doing physical therapy for 30 years. I mean, that's being on the SWAT team and doing the stuff that I do. I mean, I literally work out and do physical therapy on my own a lot. So he's like, well, yeah, as soon as you get to where you feel like you can, get back at it. And so far, it actually seems like that little bit of working out has helped stimulate that nerve a little bit. And it's the pain in my leg is getting better quicker than it was pre-starting to work out. You know what I mean? It's like it was getting better gradually, but then when I started working out, it's like my leg, the feeling is getting back to normal quicker than it was before. So I'm just having to be careful because there is a balance of, therapeutic and just stupid. And so I'm trying to make sure I stay on the therapeutic side of that, not the stupid. There won't be any more, me trying to see exactly how much weight I can pick up and all that. That is those days are gone. I want to be able to walk when I retire. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm strong enough where Steve comes down here, I can defend myself because, he's kind of a big guy. And he was picking on me a little bit last time he was here.
What? I'd never.
Brother.
But anyway, all right, guys. Well, if nobody's got anything else, I guess we're going to have to get out of here because it's getting late. I'm getting delirious. It's time for bed. And I don't know what time is it where you are, Eric?
7:23.
Oh, it's early for Eric. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well,
too
I
bad.
am older than you though, right? So, but I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, and I appreciate that too, Eric. You being older than me and all, because Steve does give me a hard time about my age. So now Steve, there you go. Eric's older than me. I actually am surprised with that. I thought he was younger than I am.
Well,
Yeah, clean living.
you do project yourself as a 60-year-old. So
I hear you. Well, y'all be good. Take it easy, everybody.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks.